No, I did not. Nor was it necessary. I was in close touch with both Mr. Meese and Mr. Baker throughout, and have been from the early moments.
Approximately when did you arrive at the White House?
Very few moments after the incident. Very few moments after the incident.
And do you know what is the condition, Mr. Brady?
We understand that I just saw on television what you saw, and it sounds serious.
What's the reaction of the Soviets to this?
I don't anticipate any reaction. I think you've gotten all that you need for the moment, and thank you.
Will you remain in charge here until the Vice President?
We'll stay right where we are until the situation clarifies.
When does the Vice President expect this surgery, sir? When is the Vice President expected here?
Later this afternoon. He'll be here shortly.
When the operation began, sir, on the President, about what time?
Was I here? Yes, I was here.
What time?
What time the operation began? What time was the operation?
I don't know. Just it was shortly after that announcement that you heard on the radio, on television.
Vice President be back, sir?
Early evening. Well, I'm not going to make it a habit of saying where. He'll be back.
Will you come back and talk to us soon?
Thank you. If it's necessary, of course.
Any additional measures being taken? Was there a conspiracy, or was this an act?
There are no indications of anything like that now, and we are not going to say a word on that subject until the situation clarifies, of course.
From what you know of the President's condition, that the Vice President will have to, for a period of time, take the role of acting President?
That's a fundamentally premature question, and I couldn't answer it. Thank you very much.
Is he under anesthesia now?
Very shaken. Alexander Haig has just announced that for now he is in charge, and many people have wondered about the United States Constitution, and those words on that parchment are not there for nothing.
Well, I am not sure yet whether what the Secretary of State said is precisely in accordance with the Constitution.
No, it's not.
There is, in fact, a line of succession, but that line of succession is triggered only by the total incapacity of the President or a decision of the President. If the President has not yet decided that to pass on the presidency for the time being, then he hasn't passed it on. If he is speaking, if he is conscious, then nobody can take it away from him. It may be premature at a time like this to criticize the words of Secretary Haig, but they are at least open to constitutional question when Haig says that for the time being, I am in charge here. His willingness to be in charge has been noted before, and the alacrity with which he fills vacuums has been noted before.
Two other major allies overseas, France and Germany, here in Europe. President Giscard was on television tonight during a campaign appearance. He, like Mrs. Thatcher, expressed first shock, secondly great sadness that this should have occurred, and then very quickly sent messages off to Washington to the President, wishing him a speedy recovery, reassurances of the friendship of France and of Great Britain, and a great hope of a speedy recovery and a quick return to work, and great sympathy for the families and the White House staff members involved. That same message came just a short while ago from Chancellor Helmut Schmidt in West Germany, and we've learned just a short while ago, too, that Prime Minister Begin in Israel is, in fact, drafting a statement at this moment, which will go off to Washington, reflecting very much what I think is clearly a universal view overseas, shock, sadness, and great concern about the President's present health.
Peter, if you'll hold on for just a moment, I have one item of information here that I must interrupt you for. We have talked to a doctor at the George Washington University Hospital. He says that the President is undergoing exploratory abdominal surgery and that they have not yet located the bullet. This is a doctor at the hospital in a position to know. Now, when we got the word that the President was in surgery, that was at 4:05, we were told then he had been in surgery for some time. It's now 4:22 or so, so he's been in there for quite a while, and the last word we had is that exploratory surgery is underway, and they have not yet located the bullet. But as the Secretary of State said, the President was conscious when he entered surgery. And Peter, I don't know whether you heard it all, but we understand, too, that the President walked from his limousine into the hospital.
That's what surprised people overseas, Frank, and why the shock was sort of double-barreled, because, in fact, people did see the President first in a still picture at the car looking very alarmed, and then disappearing out of frame, out of the picture to go into his car, and when it was realized he was hit, it was, as I said, a double-barrel shot. It's interesting here, Frank, that the reaction always is twofold. I recall back, in fact, we were reminded here in Britain tonight of the attempt on President Ford in Chicago, because already people overseas begin to dwell, as I can assure you they will, with much greater intensity in the next couple of days, on how this is a pattern for American presidents. The news commentator on the independent television news here tonight pointed out that Gerald Ford had 2 attempts on his life within a month, and then made it clear to the American people that an American president cannot hide behind his security wall. And there'll be a lot of talk about that overseas in the next couple of days. Distress about the president first, of course, and some concern about an America in which this kind of thing does appear to happen for each president almost.
Yes, and there ought to be. And there'll undoubtedly be a lot of talk here, too. And I suppose we'll hear a great deal about, what is the line? Guns don't kill people, people kill. But, well, we don't know that anybody's been killed, and I don't mean to suggest that. Thank you, Peter. We'll be coming back to you throughout the day and evening, I suppose, as this story develops. We're going to go back now to Susan King at the White House to see if we got any more information. Susan?
Yes, Frank. It's a very quiet mood here at the White House. We just had, as you've been saying with Peter, Secretary Haig and Mr. Allen, who's the National Security Advisor to the President, here in the press room. They are in the Situation Room at this time.
If the press secretary happens to be hit, that is not possible at a time when the president is on the operating table for the person who speaks for the White House, Larry Speaks, to not be able to say that he knows, although 1 moment later Secretary Haig comes out and says it is so.
We'll pick up on that point in a moment. We're going to show you pictures of the alleged gunman. The suspect is identified as John W. Hinckley, Jr., Evergreen, Colorado. And as correspondent Bob Perkowitz said, Sissy Baker here on our assignment desk is handing us more information. Dan, another word on the District of Columbia police officer. He's in serious condition, shot in the back of the shoulder, the bullet lodged in his neck. He's being stabilized in the trauma unit. According to radio or television station WJLA here in Washington, the last name of that District of Columbia police officer is Delahunty. He's 45 years old, 17 years on the D.C. police force. His condition still serious, and the Secret Service agent who sustained a chest wound is listed as 31-year-old Timothy McCarthy from Chicago, and of course the other person, 2 other people, White House Press Secretary James Brady, and of course the President. I hope that we are able to get word when the President is out of surgery.
Yes.
This is a slow motion picture we're looking at again, Dan.
That's right. This is the President, slow motion, and something more than slow motion is happening to this picture. But as he left the Washington Hilton Hotel, where he just concluded an address to the Construction Trades Division of the AFL-CIO, a speech in which he had gone over and then asserted very confidently his own confidence in his own economic program, and extended a word of support for the independent trade unions in Poland. And having come out and been greeting the crowd, shots were heard. The President immediately was pushed by the Secret Service into his car, while off to the side, as we will perhaps see in other pictures, Jim Brady, his press secretary, felled with a shot to the head. Also, you can see only the feet of a Secret Service man, also shot. A District of Columbia policeman, also shot.
And that photographer to the right on the door, Dan, he was taking a picture there.
Young Hinckley attended high school in Dallas, Highland Park High School, although, as you've said, he is a native of Evergreen, Colorado. Of course, what people want now is as much medical information as they can possibly get, and that is indeed what we are trying to get. We're in some difficulty over this because although all of this is taking place in a radius of perhaps a mile, it is very difficult to get any up-to-date medical information on what is being done with President Reagan and how he is standing up to the surgery, what the result of the surgery is.